This is obviously a decision the Trump administration is watching very closely.
Yeah, and President Donald Trump himself, we know he's already responded in anticipation of a ruling both on Twitter and in real life, essentially saying that if this Court of Appeals wants to keep the country safe, that it will rule in his favor and in the favor of the administration. Another man who will be watching this decision very closely is Washington's Attorney General Bob Ferguson. He joins us over the phone. Mr. Attorney General, good morning to you.
Good morning, Brandy. Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to do it. Been busy much? I imagine it's been a busy week or so.
It's been, particularly intense 8 or 9 days, I suppose, since we started preparing the complaint. But my team's been working hard. They've been working around the clock, and I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, I saw an image of them working late the night of the Super Bowl. I want to ask you, have you been given any sort of inside information that we don't have as to when this ruling might come down?
No, the sense we had, though, from the court was it would be this week, so it would not surprise me if it was today or tomorrow. And the Ninth Circuit also said they would give the public a heads up of an hour or two before the decision becomes public. But from my standpoint, I'm expecting it, frankly, either today or tomorrow.
Okay, so before we dive into sort of the dirty details of what happened in court, I want to get your reaction to some things that have happened over the last 24 hours. First, President Donald Trump's own pick for the United States Supreme Court has reacted to some of the things the president has said about the judges in this case, particularly the federal judge in Seattle, James Robart, who made the initial ruling in your favor. He called him a so-called judge. And now Neil Gorsuch, again, the president's nominee for the United States Supreme Court, has called those comments disheartening and comments that the president has made about our judicial system. What do you make of that, the fact that the president's own Supreme Court nominee used that word, disheartening?
Frankly, Brandy, I'm just not surprised. I mean, it's hard to find anybody who defends the president's comments when it comes to his remarks about specific federal judges or the judiciary in general. I mean, Judge Robart, for example, who issued the decision at the federal trial court level, as you mentioned, he's an appointee of George W. Bush. This is going to be a judicial process that is independent and non-political, and that's why we have a judiciary, for exactly that reason. It's checks and balances. And look, I understand the president is frustrated by his defeat before Judge Robart. I get that. Losing is not fun for anybody, but it's important to take defeat with a certain level of grace, and I'm hopeful that as this goes through the process that'll happen.
So something else I want to address that's happened in the last 24 hours is you've sort of got your spotlight stolen from you. Your Solicitor General, Noah Purcell, who's handling this case, he's actually making the arguments to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. He kind of has become an overnight sensation. He was trending on Twitter after these appeals were made. He's a hometown boy, Franklin High School graduate. In fact, he got so much attention, our Hannah Kim went and dug up an old high school yearbook photo of him. Remind me never to do anything so important that someone digs up my old high school yearbook photo.
Right.
Is he handling this pressure okay, do you think? Because there's a lot of people watching him.
Yeah, I wish I was on camera right now so you could see the big smile on my face. I know Purcell, I'm so glad the spotlight is on him. He deserves every bit of it and more. And really the people of the state, regardless of what you think about this case or the executive order, Noah is someone who went to Harvard Law School, editor of the Law Review, clerked on the U.S. Supreme Court with Justice Souter. This is the guy who could write his ticket. He could be working in a corner office, any law firm, anywhere in the country, making an awful lot of money. Instead, he left all that behind when I asked him to come and work in the office of the Attorney General as our Solicitor General. So for those of us who work with Noah every day, we see how brilliant he is. And even more importantly to me, he's the most humble guy you'll ever meet. And it's that combination that people really admire about him.
Do you think he stood up well under pressure? Because I will say that those judges grilled attorneys on both sides. I mean, I was sitting there listening like, I am glad I'm not in that room, because they really asked some tough questions. Yeah. Do you feel as if he was able to stand up and answer the questions they had of him?
Oh, absolutely. I think anybody who listened to that oral argument sensed that Noah never lost his poise. His tone of voice never changed. And that's Noah. And that's the job. If you're going to be before a bench like that, we call that a hot bench, where they're hardly letting you get out more than a few sentences. You just have to roll with that and make your points as efficiently and effectively as possible. But that is Noah. He's calm under pressure. And look, frankly, at the office, he's working around the clock. And even in those circumstances, which are very stressful, he's been able to be a very effective advocate for the people of the state.